श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः। गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विशेषे भवरोगिणां निधेय सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवसर्वकार्ये सर्वदा। गजाननं भूतगणादिसेवितं गपद्वजम्भोफलधारभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजं। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्ते। व्यासम् अष्टनप्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे सुखदातं तपोनिधिं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मणदेवासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. So last time we looked at a Brahmana coming to Pandavas and saying that his sacrificial sticks, the tools he uses for the sacrifice, those were taken away by a deer, and all the five Pandavas started chasing that deer. And after long chase and covering lot of distance, the deer disappeared from them. And then the Pandavas, they were very tired. They sat under a tree, and then they were very thirsty. Yudhistira asked Nakula to climb, Sahadeva to climb a tree and see whether there is any water nearby. And he says that there are cranes nearby flying. I can see. So water should be somewhere nearby. And he goes to fetch the water. As he goes and tries to pick the water, he hears a voice saying that this water belongs to me, so do not drink. But he ignores that and he drinks, and from that he drops dead. After some time, Yudhishthira sends Sahadeva as well, thinking why Nakula has not come. And sorry, he first Sahadeva goes and then he sends Nakula. And then Nakula going there, he also sees his brother and dead, and he was very thirsty, tries to drink water, and then he hears the same voice. He ignores it, and then he also suffers the same fate. A little while later, Yudhishthira sends Arjuna saying, these two have gone quite long ago and still not returned. Go and see what happened. And Arjuna goes there and he sees these two, Nakula Sahadeva, dead there, and he becomes very angry. He says, you he did not realize what happened, and then he looks around. He could not see anybody. He did not see any injury to Nakula and Sahadeva. He thinks this must be some rakshasas or some illusion, people with illusion. They created this and they hurt his brothers. So he, with mantras, he starts releasing the arrows in all the direction, thinking if anybody, they will be shot by that. He releases so many arrows, but nothing happens. And then he hears that voice from the Yaksha saying that this water belongs to me. Why are you doing this? Do not drink this water. First answer my questions. Otherwise, you will also have the same fate as your brothers. Arjuna ignores that and he says that if you remember previously, when after Varna incident in Adri Parva, when Pandavas were going to Panchala for Draupadi Swayamvara, they come across Ganga river and there Arjuna wanted to drink water, and then the Gandharva stopped him and Arjuna was saying, water belongs to everybody, right? So nobody can own this. So here, similar thing, Arjuna with that same similar pride, he comes and he drinks the water and he drops dead immediately. Again, after a little while, Yudhishthira asked Bhima, it's been a long time since Nakula, Sahadeva, but so all of them have gone. So go and see what happened and get some water together with them, bring the water. So Bhima goes there and he sees all three of them dead on the banks of that lake. And Bhima thinks, I'm definitely going to have a fight today, very big fight. I'm very thirsty. First, I should drink some water and then I will fight whoever caused this. So he was about to drink, and then Yaksha again warns him that this water belongs to me. Do not drink without answering my questions. So if you do, you will drop, you will die. So Bhima ignores that, and then he also falls dead. So now all four of them are dead on the banks of that lake. So after a while, Yudhishthira thinks why these people have not come, and he decides to go himself, and he makes his way to that river lake, and there he sees all his four brothers uh, dead. And seeing them dead, he starts crying, and he starts praising how strong they were. Like, for example, Bhima, nobody could face him with his mace, and he had promised that he will break Duryodhana's thighs in the battle, and that Bhima is dead there. And Arjuna, when he was born, Kunti heard a voice from the sky saying that he will become the if his son will continue this race, and that Arjuna, who is all the devatas and asuras and everybody is he can face up, that Arjuna is now drop dead. Similarly, Nakula, Sahadeva, with whom when they have the weapons in their hand, nobody could face them. So such brothers are drop dead here, and Yudhishthira thinks and cries with them, and seeing them sleeping there, he thinks this condition was very much, he worries and he cries, and then he starts thinking what happened, what might have happened to these four such a powerful men, all of them dead here. They do not have any injury on them. There is no injury. It doesn't look like they suffered a lot. They just seems to have fallen dead. So is this water poisonous, or is it somebody, uh, some daityas or somebody by uh, illusion they have created this? What happened? Their eyes, and then he checks their eyes, thinking if the water is poisonous and by drinking that, if they had died, the eyes would have turned blue and things like that. So he looked at their eyes and no signs of that as well. All of them look like they are just sleeping in a deep sleep. So he again thinks what happened, and then there must be something to do with this water. So he goes and tries to reach that water, and the Yaksha at that time stops him, saying that each of these have uh, died because of me. They did not listen to me. So if you don't listen to me, your situation also will be same thing. So you will also die in just like them. You will also die. So do not drink this water. Yudhishthira says that, who are you? Are you Rudras? Are you Vasus, Marutas, or who are you? Or are you uh, these four people could not have been defeated by even somebody large as Himat Parvata or Vindhya or Malaya? That nobody could have done that. Devatas, Danamas, Asuras, Rakshasas, nobody could have faced them. Who are you? And that Yaksha says, I am a Yaksha, and I am not just a crane, I am an Yaksha, and your brothers have been killed by me. And hearing this, Yudhishthira thinks again about that Yaksha and saying that why why these people have been killed. And Yaksha says that this water belongs to me, and without my permission, they decide to drink this water, and that's why this happened. So you also do not drink this water. Yudhishthira says, I do not covet. I'm not, I do not, if this water belongs to you, I do not want this. If it is your possession, I do not want this. So I don't have that greed of taking away something that belongs to you, even if it is water and even if I'm very thirsty. So this is Yudhishthira's character. See, he says, even if I'm thirsty, if you are saying this belongs to you and I should not take it, I will not take it. So he says that again, I will try to answer whatever your questions are, but I won't say that I know everything. I don't boast that I know everything and I will answer everything correctly, but I will do my best. I will try to answer that may be right, may not be right. That I don't know. I will do whatever you want to know. So then Yaksha starts asking questions one after another, and Yudhishthira starts responding. So this is again in Vana Parva, second time we are hearing kind of Yudhishthira's question and answers. Anyone remembers where it happened previously? No? I should have exams every week. Previously, when Bhima was caught by a snake, Nahusha, who was in the form of a snake, Yudhishthira went there to rescue, and Nahusha asked a lot of questions, right? And Yudhishthira responded, and pleased by that, Nahusha released Bhima. So here again, Yaksha asking questions. He first asks, how did Surya rise, and what keeps his company, what makes him set, what is established in him. So why he is established? And Yudhishthira says that Brahma makes Surya rise, and Devatas keep him in company. It is Dharma that makes him set, because everything has to come to an end, and he is established in truth. So this is again two meanings here. It is in the name of Surya. We are talking about Atma. So how Atma is, Brahma means it is the knowledge, Vedas. So that's what that Atma rises from that. And Devatas here is the self-restraint and uh, control of senses and those things. Similarly, dharmas, the morality, righteousness, all these things that makes it attain its final place. And similarly, the truth, that is the knowledge of Brahma, understanding that Brahma is what keeps it going. So that's what it is established in. So then the Yaksha asks, whom do you call as somebody who's learned? And Yudhishthira says, somebody who studies the Shrutis, that is the Vedas, it should be considered as the one learned. And whom you call as somebody who attained something great, the person who has austerities, acquired austerities, ascetic austerities, that's the person acquires the greatness. And who is the second one? Yaksha asks, and he says the intelligent is the second person. So if you have intelligence, that means you are having a second person with you to help you out. And who is serving, one acquires intelligence. Serving the wise, you always acquire intelligence. So Yaksha then asks, what is the divinity of Brahmanas, and what is the pious thing? What is the attributes of the Brahmanas, human attributes of Brahmanas, and what is the practice that is impious? So Yudhishthira says, study of Vedas is their divinity, asceticism is their behavior, but even Brahmanas are liable to death, and that's the human attribute they carry. And slander, if some slandering somebody, is the impiety that Brahmanas can do. And Yaksha then asks, what is the divinity of Kshatriyas? What is their practice? What is the pious practice? What is impious? What is their human attribute? And Yudhishthira says that arrows, weapons, these are Kshatriyas' divinity. Celebrating sacrifices, performing sacrifices is their pious thing. Liberality of to fear. So if they are uh, scared of something, so that's their human attribute. Even though they are Kshatriyas, they could be scared, and refusal to protect somebody is their sinful act. So similarly, then Yaksha asks, what is the Sama sacrifice, Samveda sacrifice? What is Yajurveda sacrifice? What is Rigveda sacrifice? Which sacrifice is the refuge of all the sacrifices? So he says that life is a Samaveda sacrifice, mind is Yajurveda, Rigveda is the sacrifice of which is the refuge of all the sacrifices, and Rigveda alone is the sacrifice that one cannot do without. So one has to do Rigveda sacrifice. So then he asks, what is the most thing that one should, valuable thing one should cultivate? What is the one should serve, valuable thing? What is the one should wish for prosperity? And also one should bring, what is the prosperous thing one should bring? And Yudhishthira says one should cultivate hope for the rain, and one should always sow seed. So in the hope that that grows and develops. So this again, there is two meanings. So one is looking for knowledge and Paramatma and things like that. And then the foremost of thing one could raise is again offspring. So Yaksha then again continues, what is weightier than earth, what is weightier than heaven, and what is lighter than wind, and what is as numerous than grass, more than grass. So here Yudhishthira says that mother is weightier than earth. So it is not pure weight here. Again, mother, it doesn't mean that mother is heavy. So mother is more respectable than earth and more patient than earth. And similarly, father is taller than heaven. That means he has respectable, more knowledgeable, more respectable than heaven. And mind is faster than wind. And similarly, there are thoughts in our brain, mind, that are more than what you have grasses on the entire earth. Yaksha then asks, what? So some of these questions are straightforward, maybe kind of knowledge questions, and some of them are very interesting, important questions here as well. So Yaksha asking all type of questions here. So the next question he asks is, what does not close its eyes when it is sleeping? What does not move after birth, and which what does not have heart, and what swells on its own? And he says that fish does not close its eyes when it is asleep, and egg does not move after its birth, and stone does not have a heart, and river swells on its own, increases on its own. So, and then who is the friend of the exile? Who is the friend of the householder? Who is the friend of that who is suffering from illness, and who is the friend of about to die? He says that again, if a companion is the friend of an exile. So if somebody is exiled, if they have a companion, that person is their best friend. And for a householder, for a grihastha, it's his wife who is the companion. And for someone who is suffering from illness, the physician, the doctors are the companion, their friend. And for about somebody who is about to die, the charity is their friend. If you do charity before dying, that's the best thing one could do. Then he says, who is the guest of all the creatures? What is the eternal duty? What is Amrita? What is this entire universe? And he says that Yudhishthira replies, Agni is the guest of all the creatures because he takes our offering to Devatas. Homa is the eternal duty. One should perform homas. Milk is the Amrita. So drinking milk is equivalent to Amrita, and the entire universe consists of air alone. And what is which yatras, which journeys one should one does alone, and which is reborn after birth, and what is the remedy of the cold, and what is the largest field. So Surya moves on his own, moon takes birth anew every fortnight, every month, and then uh, fire is the remedy of the cold, and earth is the largest field. So then Yaksha asks, what is the highest refuge of the virtue? What is the highest refuge of fame, of heaven, and happiness? So he says, Yudhishthira replies that liberality is the highest refuge of virtue. So if you are very liberal, that's the highest virtuous thing. And then similarly, gift, dana, gives you fame. And similarly, truth is for heaven, and good behavior for happiness. Yaksha then asked, what is the soul of a man? And what is the friend of those bestowed on a man by Devatas? And then what is the man's chief support and what is the chief refuge? So he says that the son is the man's Atma, and wife is the friend that is given by Devatas. Clouds are his support because that brings rain, and gift is his chief refuge. Again, same thing. So by giving gift, one can rescue himself and his generation. And then Yaksha asks, what is the most laudable thing? What is the most valuable of all his possessions? What is of all the best of the gains one could have? And what is the best of happiness? So, best of laudable things is one having a skill. So, if somebody has got skills to do whatever they wish to do, that's the best thing. And what is the best position? That is the knowledge. Best things to gain have is health, and contentment is the best of all kind of happiness. So even if you have very little, if you are content with that, that's the route to happiness. Yaksha then asks, what is the highest duty of the world? What is the virtuous thing that bears fruit? What is the which, if controlled, uh, you do not regret? And similarly, whom one should not break the alliance with. And then Yudhishthira replies that highest duty is refraining from injury, ahimsa paramo dharma. Again, this statement, ahimsa paramo dharma, repeated many times in Mahabharata. Then writes again, whatever the Vedas says, doing that is always bears fruit. The mind, if one controls, there is no regret. Again, mind thinks about various other things. If you control that, self-control, then there is no regrets. And similarly, alliance with good people, friendship with good people is never, one should never break. Yaksha then asks, what is, if renounced, makes one agreeable, one friendly, one good? What is which, if renounced, one leads to no regret? What is which, if renounced, makes one wealthy? What is, if renounced, makes one happy? So Yudhishthira says that pride, if one renounces, gives up on pride, he becomes friendly, he becomes agreeable. Anger, if one gives up, he has no regrets. Desire, if one gives up, he becomes wealthy, and he becomes wealthy both in his happiness, similar to previously on the happiness, what we said, right? So giving up desires and being content and those things are makes one happy and wealthy. And then similarly, the avarice, if really renounced, one makes one happy. And then Yaksha asks, what does one give away to Brahmanas, and what mimes, and what about what if one should give out to mimes, those who mimic and dancers? What should one give to servants, and what should one give to king? So he says, Yudhishthira says that religious merit that one gives away to Brahmanas, and then it is the fame that one gives away to uh, dancers and others. It is uh, for so again, when you give dana to Brahmanas, you give it because you want to gain religious merit. Similarly, when you give it to the dancers or somebody, you give it because you want fame. And similarly, you give it to something to your servants because you want to support them. And similarly, you give it to the king because you want to have a good relationship. You should not have any fear from that king. Okay, so it is like bribing the ministers these days. So you give it to something to give ministers so that you ministers do favorable things to you these days. So Yaksha then asks, what is the word enveloped, and owing to which thing one cannot things cannot be discovered itself, and what are the friends of the those who are given up, and what is the one failed to go to heaven? For what reason? One reason one fails to go to heaven. So world is enveloped in darkness, that is ignorance, and that ignorance is does not permit us to show itself, and it is from avarice that the friends leave us, and it is in connection of uh, with the world that one fails to go to heaven. So that is again attachment. So attachment to the family, wealth, friends, all these things, because of that one fails to go to heaven. So Yaksha then asks, what may be considered as dead? What is for kingdom? What may a kingdom consider dead? And what is one shraddha, that is when one shraddha is considered dead, and what is when a sacrifice is considered as dead? Yudhishthira says that if one wishing for a wealth, that man should be considered as a dead. So always wishing for wealth, that man should be considered as dead. Similarly, a kingdom without a king, that should be done considered as a dead kingdom. A shraddha performed without the brahmanas there, that brahmana who does not have knowledge, again it is very important. Shraddha performed through a brahmana who has no knowledge, who does not have the learning, is dead, is no use. Similarly, sacrifice without gift to Brahmanas is of no use. Then Yaksha asks, what constitutes a way, what's been spoken as water, and what as food, what is poison, and what is proper time from a Shraddha. Then drink and take away. Uh, then he says that you drink water as much as you want and take away as much as you want. Yudhishthira says that they uh, they, they that are good constitute the way. That means if there are good people, you should always follow them, and you should go in that path, whatever they are going. And similarly, space is spoken of water, and cow is the food. Again, cow is the food. It doesn't mean that kill the cow and eat. So what Shastra says that this is again some of the modern day interpretation. Yudhishthira said that cow is food. We can eat food. Okay, so you will hear these things. So here, cow is food means we should drink. the milk of that cow, which is the Amrita. Okay, we said that previously. Milk of cow is Amrita, and from that milk, the butter we make, the ghee we make, those are the ones we should drink and not the cow itself. So, and then request, Yudhishthira says that the request is a poison. That means asking somebody something is the poison. So from that, you never be happy. And similarly, a Brahmana is regarded as a proper time from Shraddha. So what it means is if a learned Brahmana comes to home, that's when one that is the good time for Shraddha. It doesn't matter whether that is the actual day the ancestor has passed away or not. If a Brahmana comes to home, that's the uh, time one should do Shraddhas. Then Yudhishthira says that I don't know whether I answered all these questions rightly or wrongly. I don't know. What do you think of this? And Yaksha says that Yaksha then starts asking more questions. What is the sign of asceticism? What is the restraint? What is the true restraint? What is the constitutive forgiveness? And what is shame? Yudhishthira says staying in one's own dharma is the asceticism. So Kshatriya should do Kshatriya's duties, Brahmana should do Brahmana's duties, Shudra should do Shudras, and Vaishya should do Vaishya. So again, these days that's not there. So you will hear again the same thing in Mahabharata where Krishna says Swadharme Nidaram Shreya. So doing one's own dharma duties is important. So if Brahmanas does something that Shudra does, or Shudra reciting the Vedas and doing pujas and things like that, that's not their dharma, that's not their duty. So here says that staying in one's own dharma is the asceticism. Similarly, if a student is following his dharma, that's his duties, that's his asceticism. A wife following what's her duty, that's her asceticism. Similarly, son or daughter or a husband following their own duties, that's their tapas, their penance. So restraint of mind is the restraint of everything. Forgiveness consists of enduring the enmity. So if somebody, even if you're foe, if you're enemy, enduring them is the forgiveness. Shame is withdrawing from all unworthy acts. So again, so there should be shame in withdrawing all from all unworthy acts. So then he says, Yaksha asks, what is said to be knowledge? What is tranquility? What is mercy? What is simplicity? So true knowledge uh, is that of divinity, learning the Brahma, knowing about Brahma. True tranquility is the one that's in your heart, that's tranquility in the heart. Mercy is the one wishing for happiness for everybody. Simplicity is the equanimity of heart. So that means looking everything as equal. Then Yaksha asks, what is the enemy of invincible? What is the incurable disease? What is the man called? What sort of man called honest and dishonest? Anger is the invincible enemy. Covetousness is the incurable disease, and honest is the one who desires uh, the welfare of all the creatures, and dishonest is the one that's unmerciful to anybody, unmerciful. So Yaksha then asks, what is ignorance? What is pride? What is understood as idleness? And what is grief? So true ignorance consists of not knowing one's duties. So this is again very important. Knowing what's one's duty is important because that's the dharma that's one should do. And if not knowing that is the real ignorance. Pride is the uh, conscious thing. Uh, what one suffers because of that. And similarly, idleness, Yudhishthira says, is the one not doing their duties is the idleness, and ignorance itself is grief. So that ignorance of not knowing what's one's duties itself is grief. Yaksha then asks, what is steadiness said by the rishis? What is patience and what is the real abolitions? What is charity? So steadiness is staying in one's own dharma. So all these are same theme answers and questions. And true patience consists of controlling one's senses. The true bath consists of washing mind of impurities, and charity consists of protecting all the creatures. So then Yudhishthira, Yaksha then asks what man should be regarded as learned, what should be consist of atheist, what should be called as atheist, and what should be called as ignorant, and what is called as desire and source of desires. What is envy? So the person who is learned, who knows his duties, should be, the person who knows his duties should be called as the one who is learned. Atheist is the one who is ignorant, and is the ignorant is also normally an atheist. And desire is the due to objects of possession. If you have something, then you will have more desires. Envy is nothing else than grief to heart. So he says that if you're jealous of somebody, that's purely nothing but you are giving grief to your own heart. So you're not content with yourself. So then Yaksha asks, what is pride? What is hypocrisy? And what is the grace of devatas? And what is the wickedness? So again, ignorance is the pride. Setting up religious standard is hypocrisy. That means again showing up uh, that I'm doing something, I'm doing this puja and things like that. That's the hypocrisy. And grace of devatas is our gifts. So whatever we have fruits of our gifts, so whatever we achieve, that's the grace of the devatas. And wickedness is speaking ill of others. So if one speaking ill of others is the wickedness. So Yaksha then asks, what is virtue, profit, desire, uh, as opposed to one another? So what are they? And then how could things be antagonistic to one of these things exist? So Yudhishthira says that when a wife and virtue agree to each other, that's the time when virtue, profit, desire, all three come together. So the important thing to have dharma, artha, kama, three together is to have when our virtue and that virtue we want to follow is agreed by the wife. So Yaksha then says that who is that condemned everlasting, who is condemned, who is goes to everlasting hell, and uh, he answer this question. And then Yudhishthira says that if one asks a brahmana to come to make him a dana and then tells him that he has nothing to give, that person goes to hell and stays there forever. And he also the other person who also uh, says that Vedas are false and the scriptures are false and the Brahmanas, he abuses the Brahmanas, Devatas, and the ceremonies in honor of the Pitrus. All these people, they also go to everlasting hell. And similarly, uh, those the people who have possession of wealth but never give away anything and everything they enjoy themselves and says that he has nothing to give away, that person also goes to everlasting hell. So Yaksha then asks, by whether it is by what birth, behavior, study, or learning, a person becomes Brahmana. So this is again very similar, exact similar question was asked by Nahusha as well previously. So Yaksha asked the same question here, by what one becomes a Brahmana. Yudhishthira says that it is not by either by birth or study or learning. It is the cause of Brahmanhood. Brahmana, one becomes Brahmana. Without a doubt, it is purely the behavior that makes him the Brahmana. One behavior should always be well, and especially Brahmanas, it should be very well behaved, and he maintains their conduct that is pure and uh, never impaired. That person is Brahmana. Professors, there's the teachers, pupils, in fact, all study scriptures, but if they are addicted to wicked habits, they do not consider they are equal to Shudras. If the habits are uh, not pure, then they should be considered equal to Brahmanas. Even the one who performs Agnihotra and his senses under full control, that person is should be considered as Brahmana. This is again, just like I said when the discussion with Nahusha was taking place, these two things, the one where he said with Nahusha as well, where he said behavior is important and for Brahmana, and not birth. And here again, Yudhishthira says that birth is not important, but behavior is important to become Brahmana, to be considered as Brahmana. These two are very much quoted everywhere you go, saying that uh, whenever there is a discussion these days comes on Brahmanas are not by birth, they are not by because of birth, one should not be Brahmana and things like that. These two things are quoted everywhere. Again, the context is important. What Yudhishthira is saying, Brahmanas, he is not saying that everybody by birth can become Brahmana just by their conduct and behavior. Vidura, for example, is of very good conduct and behavior. He is not considered as treated as Brahmana in Mahabharata. What Yudhishthira is saying in both the times with Nahusha and with in this discussion is he is saying that Brahmanas must have good behavior. Without that, they are equal to Shudras. So that's what he is saying. He is not saying that Brahmanas, everybody, anybody can become Brahmana if they are of good behavior. It is the other way around. Brahmanas must have good behavior. If not, he is equal to Shudras. So again, in Mahabharata, again and again, you will come back where it says, for example, that even if a Brahmana of wicked character, of he is given up his duties and everything, still he should be worshipped and he should be respected. Okay, so even if he is of 7-year-old just had his Upanayana Samskara, he should be respected purely because he does Sandhya Vandana and Agnihotra. Because of that, he should be respected. So even if he is not fully conversant with Vedas. So it does say many times that birth is important, but that alone is not the thing. It is the samskaras, it is the behaviors. Those are the important things. What which one keeps as a Brahmana. Even though born as a Brahmana, they may not remain as a Brahmana because of their behavior. So that's what it is said here. So Yaksha then again continues asking question. So you whatever you said is agreeable to me. So now tell me, so what does one gain by speaking agreeable things? What does one gain by acts with judgment? What does one that has many friends, and what he of that is devoted to virtue? And Yudhishthira says that he that speaks agreeable things, it becomes agreeable to everybody, and who has acts with judgment after thinking, uh, obtains whatever he wishes, and he that has many friends lives happily, and he thus devoted to virtue attains happy state in the next world. Yaksha then asks, who is truly happy and who is most wonderful? What is the path? What is the news? What is the answer to all these questions? And your let your brothers revive. And Yudhishthira says that the man who cooks in his own house and and in the day, and even if it is a little bit of vegetable, and who has no debt, and who does not stay away from home, and that person is actually uh, truly happy. So if he can cook his own food and eat it every day, that person is the most happiest person. And day after day, everybody, lot of people die and go to Yama's person. Still, lot everybody living on this planet, on this earth, thinks that they are immortals. They will never face the death, and that is the wonderful thing about this earth. And he also says that even Shruti Veda sometimes conflicting, then still people uh, hide and do that those paths and things like what Yudhishthira saying here is, even if people are dying every day and we see people dying every day, and still we think we are immortals, and we still think accumulate wealth, we still do all these things, and we do not think what's going to happen after this, after our death, and the next world where we have to reach, that world we don't think about it. So it says that rishis, there is not even one rishi whose views are accepted by everybody. So the truth about religion, duties, uh, is always hidden in the caves, and therefore the path that is followed by the those who learned is the one should follow. So what Yudhishthira is saying is, even Vedas, Shrutis, and Puranas, everything, there are conflicts. Okay, so the rishis, again, we have seen Mahabharata many times here in Mahabharata as well, right? So there are things which we say should be done, but may not if one may not uh, be right to do it in some other times, right? So it Yudhishthira, what he is saying is, one should always follow the path that is uh, uh, followed by those learned. That is the right path. So that's how one should follow. So then, listening to this, Yaksha, what he does is, so Yaksha then asks, you have answered all the questions. So tell me, what, who is the truly a man, and what is truly one possesses every kind of, what is the one man who possesses all kind of wealth? And Yudhishthira says that the one's good action reaches heaven and spreads the earth. The report of one's good action, whatever one does, that reaches heaven and it spreads all over the earth. As long as that report remains, so that means everybody talks about that, so long that person whom agreeable or disagreeable, whether it is happiness or sad, past or future, whatever it is, everything for him, uh, that till that time, that person, everything, that's the wealth he's accumulating. So that's the kind of wealth that's going to be he's going to possess. So that's, as long as that report lasts, and as long as that person's whom is that person possesses that, that's the wealth, that's the one should try to accumulate. And listening to this, Yaksha becomes very happy. He says that truly you are answered uh, everything, and therefore among your brothers I will let you one brother come alive. I will give you life back to one brother. Tell me, whom do you want? And Yudhishthira points to Nakula and says that I want this Nakula to come back to life. And Yaksha then says that Bhima is very dear to you. Arjuna is the one whom you all depend on. Obviously, in the next war that's going to come and things like that, you depend on Arjuna. Bhima is very dear to you. And considering that, why do you want this step brother to come to life? How can you give up on Bhima and Arjuna and ask for Nakula? So Bhima alone could defeat all the Kauravas. Arjuna alone, on himself on a single chariot, he can go and fight everybody. So how can you make ask for Nakula? And Yudhishthira says that if virtue is sacrificed, the person who sacrifices that virtue sacrifices himself. So he gives up himself. So that's why virtue should always be cherished, and that person will be cherished by the virtue. So the virtue, so not doing injury to anybody is the highest virtue. So again, ahimsa paramo dharma. Again, he repeats. So I follow virtue. I I don't be my favorite. Arjuna is I depend on, and Nakula, Sahadeva are not Kunti's sons, but I follow virtue. And Yudhishthira says that my father had two wives, Kunti and Madri. From Kunti, I am alive. For Madri, let Nakula be alive here. So that's why let Nakula come back to life. And Yaksha says that since you said ahimsa is the uh, abstention from injury is the highest thing than everything else, and that's why all your brothers will come back to life. And hearing this, all the four Pandavas who had dropped dead just woke up, just like they were been sleeping without hunger and thirst. They woke up, and Yudhishthira says that uh, how this could have happened, and who are you? Because you are not an Yaksha. Are you Vasus? Are you Rudras? Who are you? Are you Indra himself? Who, because somebody who is dead cannot be revived just like that? Are you even our father? So who are you? So then Yaksha speaking says that I am indeed your father. I am Yama. I am Dharma. So know that the I came here to see you. Fame, truth, self-restraint, purity, candor, modesty, steadiness, charity, austerities, brahmacharya, all these are my body. Abstention from injury, impartiality, peace, penance, sanctity, freedom from malice. All these are door through which one could I'm accessible. So Dharma says that all these how he could be accessible, and he says that you are devoted to five, that is tranquility of mind, self-restraint, abstention from sensual pleasures, resignation or renunciation, yoga and meditation, and also you have conquered the six, that is hunger, thirst, sorrow, bluntness of mortal feelings, descriptive, and death. So you have conquered all these things. So, and the Dharma says here, Yama says that the first six, the tranquility of mind, self-restraint, etc., they come in the first part of life, and the second part, hunger, thirst, sorrow, bluntness, descriptive, death, all these come in the sorry. Uh, then those come in the middle part. The two after that the two, sorry, hunger, thirst, sorrow, descriptive. So the two comes in the first part of life, second two in the middle part, and then the last two, descriptive, death, come in the last part. So that make them people go to next world. I am Yama. I came here to test your merit, and I'm very pleased with you. I will give you boon and ask me any boon you want. So Yama says that, guess what Yudhishthira might have asked. So what boon Yudhishthira would ask now? He has all his brothers come back to life. What do you think Yudhishthira will ask? Anyone?
Nothing.
Any
Did
other
he ask
answer?
for nothing?
Because if you remember, Yudhishthira and Pandavas came here for that sacrificial stick from that Brahmana, right? So Yudhishthira says that a deer was carrying away the Brahmana's fire sticks. I want that back, because he wanted to fulfill his duty. Again, Yudhishthira's main thinking is his duty, nothing else. Because as a Kshatriya, a Brahmana came and asked for his help, and he wanted to do that duty. And he says that I want that back. And that Yaksha or the Yama says that it was I who came in the form of that deer, and here as your those Brahmanas fire sticks, I will give you that. And he says that I will give you uh, that I will give you also uh, one more fresh boon. Ask me anything we want. And Yudhishthira says that we have spent 12 years of our forest life. 13th year is to come, where nobody should recognize us. So give us a boon that nobody will recognize us in that year. And Yama says that I will give you that. So you, even if you go all over the earth, nobody will recognize you. Through my grace, you will spend the 13th year secretly and unrecognized. But you go to Virata kingdom, and in that kingdom, you will be able to assume the forms as you like, whatever the shape form you want, and you can spend your time there. Now go back to uh, your place and give these five sticks to those brahmanas, and I am very satisfied with you. And he says that you are part of me. And similarly, Vidura is also a portion of mine. You remember that, right? From Adi Parva, where we heard about Rishi Mandavya's story, how Rishi Mandavya cursed Yama to be born as a Shudra. So Vidura is also a portion of me. And with that, Yudhishthira says that uh, worships him, and he says that he uh, also asks that because Bhima says that I want to grant you more boons because you are my son, and Yudhishthira says that I always conquer covetousness. Let me always conquer covetousness, folly, anger, and also he says that my mind may never always be devoted to charity, truth, and ascetic austerities. And Yama blesses that, and with that, Yudhistira with his brothers, they return to their ashrama and then give the fire sticks back to Brahmana. Vaishampayana narrating this story says that anyone who listens to this story, the discussion between Dharma and Yudhishthira, obtains tranquility of mind, they obtain sons, grandsons, and life extending over 100 years. And the mind of that person who listens to this never delights in unrighteousness and disunion, experiences disunion among friends and apportion of other person's properties and staining the other people wives or foul thoughts in his mind. So like that Vaishampana narrates, and then Pandavas after that think about spending their 13th year in disguise, and they come to all the Brahmanas and they say that you know that we have been punished because of Dhritarashtra's sons. We have been living in this forest, and the 12 years have finished, and 13th year has come where we have to live in concealment, in hiding, without recognizing everybody. So give us permission to leave this place and go our own way, because till that time, Yudhishthira and they were feeding those Brahmanas, right? So they asked for that permission. And then Daumya and all the other Brahmanas, Daumya says that uh, blesses him that even previously Indra, overcoming his enemies, he dwelt in the ashrama of Giriprastha in Nishadas. Similarly, Vishnu, for killing the Daityas, he took the form of Hayagriva. Similarly, Vishnu took in the form of Vamana to defeat Bali, and he gives a lot of other examples like that, and he blesses them that even just like that you will be successful. And then Yudhishthira, Bhima then addresses all the Brahmanas saying that even though I have the strength and Arjuna has the Gandiva and Nakula Sahadeva has the strength in them, we always followed our brother, elder brother, and what he said. So with your permission, we will follow him and spend the 13th year. And they seek blessings of all the Brahmanas. And then all the Brahmanas bless them. And then with that, Pandavas, Daumyas, and all of them bless those Pandavas, and Pandavas prepare their journey. They start some distance, they travel some distance from their ashrama. With that, this Vana Parva concludes. Sorry, it took a little bit longer today. I wanted to complete Vana Parva this chapter today because otherwise it would have been small little bit left out. So Vana Parva chapter completes. We start the next chapter, which is going to be how the Pandavas spend their 13th year, which is called Virata Parva. So we'll look at that next time. Again, Vana Parva is one of the very, very important chapters, as I said, at the very beginning of this Vana Parva when we started this, right? So last year, I think about a year ago, we started. Vana Parva covers a lot of things, not just Pandavas spending 12 years. We hear about Yudhishthira getting Akshaya Patre when it comes to forest, Bhima kills Kimira. Krishna then comes and explains the Saubha, how he was away in the Saubha, destroying that Saubha. Draupadi, Pandavas, everybody discuss about their grief and then the forgiveness, anger, self-restraint, karma, virtue, all these things we discuss. Vyasa comes there, he gives Pratismriti to Arjuna. Arjuna goes, does penance and gets blessings of Shiva and Pashupata. And then Arjuna meets the Lokapalas, he goes to heaven, he gets all the weapons, and then he's cursed by Urvashi. Here in Pandavas, Brihadashva comes and he narrates Naladamayanti story. Then they go on Tirtha Yatra, right? So all the Tirtha Yatra we hear about, Tirtha Kshetras narrated by Pulastya, Bhishma, Daumya, all of them. We hear about stories of Agastya, his greatness, Vindhya mountain, him shrinking the Vindhya mountain, Vatapi, killing of Vatapi. We hear about Parashurama, Rama, Parashurama face off. We hear about Indra getting Vajra. Indra killing Vritra, Agastya emptying the ocean, Sagara doing, Kalaki is getting killed, Sagara doing penance. We hear about Bhagirath bringing Ganga. Then we hear about Rishishringa and his marriage. We hear about Parashurama's birth story, Kartavirya Arjuna, Parashurama killing the Kshatriyas. We hear about Chavana's story and Suganya getting married to Suganya, and then Ashwin Devatas blessing Chavana young age. We hear about story of Mandata. We hear about Somaka's sacrifice where he sacrificed his own son. We hear about, learn about Shibi's gift to the hawk that came. We hear about Ashtavakra going to Mithila and then defeating Bandini. We hear about Bharadwaja's son Yavakri trying to get knowledge and then getting killed by Raibya. Vishnu killing Naraka. Prithvi uh, uh, seeking Vishnu's help and then Vishnu helping in the form of boar. Draupadi wishing for the Sugandhika flower. Bhima meeting Hanuman. Ramayana story narrated there. Bhima kills Krodavashas, Maniman, and other Yakshas there. Agastya curse on the Kubera and the reason why Maniman was killed. Then Arjuna returning from heaven and then narrating his adventures, Nivata Kavachas, destruction of Hiranyapura, Bhima getting caught by Nahusha in the form of a snake. Then the important one, Markandeya Samasya Parva, right? So Markandeya comes, he explains Vaivasuta Manu, he explains Yuga duration, end of all the things. He explains that Fowler and a Brahmanas, Kaushika Brahmanas discussions, the Parikshita killing the frogs, Vami horses, Indradyumna and the world, who is old and his merits. Markandeya explaining duties, purity, gifts, virtue, all these things. We hear about Dundumara, Madhukaitapa. We hear about uh, then we have the sacred story of Shanmuka's birth, Skanda's birth. We hear Draupadi and Satyabhama discussion on duties of a wife. We hear about Duryodhana getting caught by Gandharvas and how Pandavas rescued. Karnas were helping Duryodhana with Vaishnava sacrifice. Jayadratha abducting Draupadi. And then we hear entire Ramayana again, Rama Sita story. And then we hear Savitri Satyavana's story. And recently we looked at Karna giving away his earring. And very recently we looked at Yudhistira tested by the Yama himself, his father himself. So this Mahabharata, this Vana Parva gives a very good foundation explaining the base, all the fundamentals we need. Because if you look at Adi Parva, it gives a background to Mahabharata itself, who are the characters and things. Sabha Parva was just the events that took place in the dice game. And now in this Vana Parva is where the Shastras, what is right, what is wrong, and everything is explained here, because this then helps in the going to the next one when we go to the uh, Virata Parva, which is mainly the story, a short one. But after that, when we go further into next stages and Bhagavad Gita and things like that, all this will help, because Bhagavad Gita, one shloka, one line, one word might explain a chapter here in Vanaparva. So everyone who listen to this up to now, uh, you will all benefit from that. And with that, we'll see you next time. Before we close, any questions?